Welcome to another TerranScapes video. Today we're in the recreation area of the shop, and it's one of the few places where I have enough space on the floor to be able to lay out a complete board set. Now I wanted to give you the opportunity to take a look at this board set before I ship it out, as it features a new color scheme for the Waterway, and includes the cactus stands, which I showed in a previous video, so you can see the whole set put together and get an idea of what a complete set of modular boards looks like, with the desert sort of Martian motif and all the pieces painted in a unique color scheme. So let's zoom up the camera a little bit and get an overview of the entire boards. So here's a little pan of the entire board set. The entire board set comprises of 18 boards. 17 of them are 10 inches by 20 inches, and then there's a 10 by 10 board that makes it a perfect rectangle, and the total dimensions are 50 inches by 70 inches in size. Let's see here. I'll point out a few features from above, and I'll give you a close-up of all of this in just a little bit of a second. But you can see here the river. Hopefully the laser pointer will show up. The river snakes all the way across the boards, so that's one possible configuration you could arrange. It includes a pond over in the corner. Of course, it includes the arch and the mesa. And recently, I actually just remolded, although these are from the older molds, although they're still looking pretty good, but the molds were really getting just a little bit fatigued, so before they started producing bad casts, I just remastered all of the molds for all of the buttes that you see here on the table. And there's five, wait, let me do the count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. There are 5 different types of buttes, and the set comprises 2 of each. So you have 10 large structures placed on the table, and this customer included the arch, included the mesa, and also included the 2 cactus stands. One of the things that the customer requested was that it have a brown color that matches the colorings that he's been using on the bases of his miniatures. He's been using a bestial brown with lighter highlights up to bleach bone, and I suggested going slightly less bright on the overall highlights on the board, as I thought going quite bright to white from the bestial brown is going to look a little too strong across big open areas like this. So I went just a touch shade darker on that to give it the look that you see here. You can see from above the rivers are coated in the rippled water effect, and they've been sealed with a coat of varnish, and that gives them just a little bit of extra protection. And of course, along the waterway you can see numerous sandbars, and the sandbars, as you notice, are flanked by cutouts in the riverway to denote fordable areas should you want to play them as that. I'll give you another close-up here. Of course, here you can see in these areas here that there are cuts in the sides of the boards here to provide a egress into the river, and the sandbars to denote shallow areas where miniatures could cross. So starting at this end of the board, and I'm going to do this handheld so I can move around. So I'm going to try to keep it with an even pan rate and not be too shaky in the hand so that viewers don't get seasick here watching this. But I just wanted to start. Here you can see the cactus stands, which I've shown in a previous video, up close. Get a chance to see the overall scale on a set of boards. And I wanted to give you a little close-up of some of the rivers so you can see the fine detail work on the side. Customer requested a stone look for the cuts and the sides of the buttes, and again, a little work back and forth in communication, arriving at a final color scheme. I was a little nervous about going with the grays against the browns, but ended up really feeling like this is a really solid combo color-wise, and really helped to sort of bring the river into the other areas of the board by matching the cutouts on the sides of the river to the actual land masses, the buttes I should say, that are on the board elsewhere. Each of these pieces features, and I'll see if I can do this together here. So each of the buttes has been decorated, adorned with vegetation around the sides, and this has all been picked to match the cactus stands that you see here, so that it has a unified look, ties it all together. And of particular interest was the actual color of the waterway. Customer had looked at a previous video of mine where I was discussing some ideas for colors of the Waterway, and I ended up trying to go with matching one of the colors that I had done previously, but it came out just a touch different because I haven't really standardized the colors for the shading, and I'm still experimenting with tinting of the Envirotex layer that's underneath the rippled water effect. So what I ended up doing was adding a slighter amount of brown, and it really helped to unify the brighter colors and mute them just a little bit into a yellowish tint, which really, between the yellow and the green, it really captures, it ties together, I think, the browns in the overall board set really well. I don't think this color scheme would work very well on a green board, for instance, where there'd just be, overload of green colors on the board, but because there's not a lot of other contrasting colors on this, you get this nice sort of tealish green with some lighter areas that brighten the river in an otherwise, sort of uniform brown color scheme. And you see that color scheme's been picked up in the pond as well. You may notice, actually, taking a look at the river, that you can see some slightly cloudy areas in the color, in the Mod Podge layers, the layer that gives the ripple effect in the water. And this is really unavoidable at this time of the year based on the humidity that we have. My experiences in working with this over the last several weeks has shown me that one hour burst of a little bit of warmth and some dry weather, and they clear right up. So I think, this one of the things to expect, that with this kind of, and you can really see how the light catches those ripples and really gives it a nice water effect, that's just one of the things that will happen under a couple of months of the year, depending on where you live. Oh, and the board set is, of course, totally kitten-proof, as is all TerranScapes products. I'd love to see somebody draw up the stats for what George would be if he was facing a 40K army. So, just gives you a little bit of a pan around, get a sense of what some of those cuts look like. Try to stay out of the light for you. On some of the cutouts, of course, I've added a little extra foliage. And one of the things that I've done along the riverway is I've added in, very small pieces of foliage and tried to give it that look, as I'd mentioned before, the cacti, that we have sort of emerging vegetation from maybe springtime, and then we have lots of little growth, but it's harsh environment, difficult for plants to grow, but a few have eked out a sort of place on it. I wanted to go with small pieces of vegetation because it just felt like it's too arid of a board set to have large clumps. Even though it's against the water, I probably could pull it off, but it wasn't the look that I was really going for, and instead opted for something a lot more meager and sparse, but well populated along the entire bank. The other thing that I just wanted to point out real quick was an interesting fact that happened when I was painting these. I airbrushed the colors in the rivers, and this is what helps to give that beautiful transition, I think it is, from the darker colors to the shallower areas, very smooth gradation. But in this case, as I've been still struggling with my airbrushes, and probably will put up another, my airbrushing I should say, we'll probably put up another video discussing airbrushing a little bit more in some of the trials I'm still having. You get a little overspray, and I was getting a little overspray on the sides, and I think this is going to pick up. It's various tones at different places around it, but along some of the shallows, or not the shallows, I'm sorry, but along the shoreline, it picked up a little bit of that green. And it really occurred to me, even though it was unattended, that it gives this sort of eerie, reflected look, as though the water is reflecting onto the nearby land masses, and kind of just really worked well for the overall shoreline of the river. So I decided to let it go rather than trying to paint over it, and I think it really worked out pretty well, sort of a accidental bonus. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this board set. It's one of my better board sets that I've produced to date. I was very pleased with how the cuts came out on the boards. Very square boards with nice trim edges. They join up very well. I've been improving my ability to reshape the boards as some of the boards come warped, or some of the materials, as I discussed with the foam coat issue a few videos back, that can cause some warping, and I've been able to correct that on these boards very effectively. And I think overall it's going to be a fantastic set on the tabletop with some miniatures on it. I'm not going to shoot any photos of the boards though, as I'm a bit time constrained trying to get out some orders, and as I have several of these board sets up with different kinds of color schemes and pictures on the site already, I'm going to forego it for these unless there's a specific customer request for photos. But I encourage you to always visit TerranScapes.com, take a look and see what kinds of other products that are available, other color schemes, of course the original color scheme for the Martian board set, as well as the Verdant board sets and some of the other products that I produce. You can always contact me if you have any questions, of course. You can put comments in the video down below. I always like to check those out and answer them. And if you want, you can always email me too. And it's Mike@TerranScapes.com. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and keep your eye on the channel. I'll have another video probably pretty soon.